want to make sure that I acknowledge the sponsor of the show, Teach Henley, because Teach Henley sent me this new pack. They sent me the new Teach pack, so I just literally pulled the paper out, got it out of the mail, and I started going through it, and I got a little bit more excited than I should. You know what I'm saying? So they did send me the Teach pack, and I don't even know what this is yet. So I'm assuming this is what you get when you first order your Teach, and I don't know what this is. Oh, this is dope. This is absolutely dope. Is this a nail kit? Ladies, get this for the fellas. Fellas, don't wait for the ladies to get it for you. This is free. This just comes with it. 30% off your first order plus 20% off for life. Literally. Oh, snaps. I didn't know that they were sending it like this. Real talk. So this is the nail kit that they sending you. All right. So now you ain't looking like a dusty. This is a free gift straight from Teach for the people that ordered the Teach. They got the small one for the little hands like mine's. They got the big joints for your toenails. And then they got the joints at the bottom too. You know what I'm saying? For y'all that's a little bit more crustier than usual. All right. So that's one of the free gifts that Teach got inside of the pack. And then what is this? Says squeeze a quarter size amount of Teach Henley body wash on the center of the wet bristles. Lather, scrub, rinse, and repeat for the perfectly satisfying wash every time. So that's inside of there also, right? Ooh, I can get my rubber ducky on right here. You know what I'm saying? So shout out to Teach for sending me that uncomplicated skincare for men. And then what we got in here? We got the actual Teach pack, right? So this is the normal Teach pack, but then they gave me the supersized joint for the people. They wanted me to show the people exactly what they got when they ordered that first Teach pack, when you're getting your 30% off your first order, and then you get your free gifts. You get 2 free gifts, and then the 20% off for life. So the 20% off for life is a new thing. And, man, I ain't even got my keys on me to open this up. Maybe I can use the little nail clipper thing. I ain't got to buy no nail clipper for my new joint downtown. And then you get all of the washes, all of the scrubs, all of the AM, the PMs, and all of that stuff. So you got the whole thing inside of there for you to make sure you take care of yourself. But you got to make sure you take care of it every day, right? We don't want to miss days. We don't want to be looking like dusties. It does not absolve you from being able to make sure that you brush your teeth. Brush your teeth. It don't fix the teeth problem. Don't fix you ironing your clothes. Don't fix you being able to take care of your business. But it absolutely makes sure that your skin is phenomenal, even when you're going between shaves. You know what I'm saying? So shout out to Teach Henley. We absolutely appreciate you. Thank you for continuing to hold us down. I might do an official Teach commercial, but I like just talking authentically to the people. I like giving the people the authentic look of what it is that you're dealing with, and I want you to hear from me personally, because anybody can do that little pitch and they can make some little videos, but very few of us can actually speak to the products of exactly what it is that you're supposed to use. So yeah, Teach Henley, 30% off your first order, and then 20% off for life. That's the Anton Daniels pack, 20% off for life. Using any other Teach pack, make sure that you go ahead and let that go. And make sure you tap into the link that's in the description and take care of it, all right? What's going on? Is Anton from antondaniels.com. I appreciate you guys for continuing to rock with me. We got a rare Friday afternoon live stream. But you know, we got to do what we got to do because we working. And I never want to have a conversation with y'all unless I have the best people with me to have the conversation with, all right? So what we going to do is we going to take up an hour of your time this afternoon before we get into after hours. But before we do, let me do a little bit of housekeeping. Make sure y'all tap into the Patreon. Link is in the description. You know, we got Stock Club. We got all of that. So if y'all not a part of the Bag Chasers, I don't want to hear nothing from you. Secondly, I also want you to make sure you get the Teach Henley. 40% off your first order, 20% off of life. Ladies, get it for the fellas. Fellas, don't wait for the ladies to get it for you. And then last but not least, shout out to everybody in the chat. I love you guys. I appreciate y'all. All of my Millionaire Morning Show alumni, all of the After Hours alumni, and everybody that's tapped in. Let me tell you something. This person that I'm about to bring up for y'all right now, I'm a fan personally. Now, I don't fan out that often. I don't fan out for celebrities. I don't fan out for all of the different people that I talk to or talk with. But I'm so impressed with this girl, and you know that I've been speaking so well of her because um, she's one of the rare people that I actually feel like I can have a conversation with politically, and she understands my plight. She understands my pain. So, without further ado, I don't want to continue to sprinkle all of this niceness on her without letting her be on the screen for y'all to see her for yourself, so that she can express her own thoughts. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to introduce to you my newest friend, Michaela Montgomery. What's up, Michaela?
Hello, all. How are y'all doing?
What's up, baby girl? How you feel? How you feel on this summer, this August, end of August summer day where we got election in full season and it's popping?
November 6th, low key, just couldn't come any faster.
Yeah.
So I'm just trying to get through my 9 weeks. It felt like 9 months. It's damn near a pregnancy. But
But
yeah, it's going. The days are blending together. I'm just working, trying my hardest to defend democracy.
real rap. So listen, before we get into Michaela and we start asking her some questions, because it's a few things that I want to tackle and get her thoughts on, including the recent CNN interview that seemed pre-planned. It seems like I don't know. She had a babysitter up there with her, Tim Walz, and all of that. But before we get into that, I know it's some of you guys that may not be as familiar, or just to make sure that you are familiar, I'm gonna give you a little bit of insight on who Michaela is, and I think that that's best described by us playing a clip. So check it out.
We need to vote based on facts and not feelings. See, under Harris and Biden, the average Georgia household is losing $1,060 per month, and inflation is at 21.4%. And due to the war on energy, average gas prices have reached record highs for the state. We also did a poll, and 80% of us Black Americans are not happy with the current state of the economy, so I'm going to need 80% of y'all to vote accordingly in November. They love me. They love me. They really love me.
You have so much personality, and I don't know where you get that from, because I would say that most people are very, very afraid of public speaking, or they freeze up when they get in front of a large crowd. When you got the word that you would have an opportunity to speak at the rally, what was your initial feeling?
It wasn't even that I got the word, Mr. Daniels. I called and asked. I said, y'all bring a Big T to the A. Ain't no way I'm not speaking. So what are the odds that I could go ahead and give a little speech, bring a few remarks? And literally within 5 minutes, I got a text back. They were like, 1 second, let me check. Like 2, 3 minutes later, they were like, it's a hell yes. And
Really?
nobody was like, what are you gonna write? Nobody was like, do you need any help? Like, they literally fully entrusted me to get up there and do my thing. They had no idea what I was about to get up there and do. And then, what's so funny is the only thing they asked of me was that I keep it between 3 and 5 minutes. And when you read the speech just like normally, you get right to like 4:47. So they let
Mm,
me slide. After I said the Willie Brown thing, with all the pauses and stuff, I had 26 seconds left.
yeah,
But I'm looking, I'm feeling the energy in the crowd. I'm like, shoot, Secret Service gonna have to come get me. And what's wrong with being patriotic? And like, they
yeah,
loved it. Like, yeah, I just knew that was my moment, so I took it. I used to
yeah,
watch Honey
yeah.
growing up, and I'll never forget Cedric the Entertainer telling me to kick down the door so opportunity doesn't have to knock. So yeah, a lot of people will work a lot of years to get up to that stage, and me, bow, hello, hey y'all, hi.
Yeah, you got personality. That's crazy. And you the same way on the phone when I talk to you and all of that. I can't wait to kick it with you in person. But let me ask you
Oh, I
another
love
question.
Detroit. I love Detroit. So me too.
Yeah, you know I'm gonna bring you to the city. But let me ask you another question. I'm sure that you've gotten a lot of good feedback, a lot of negative feedback. If you can segment it out and tell me what type of feedback you've gotten from what demographic, whether it be woman, man, black, white, older, younger, what would you say that the feedback has been since you've kind of kicked down the door and made a name for yourself and letting people know who you've always been, but now they just now discovering you? What type of feedback are you getting from what demographic?
So lucky for me, like I've been in this game helping people win elections, making sure students get the information for like 7 years now.
Mm-hmm.
So that goes across any partisan line. So Democrats, Republicans, Independents, Libertarians, anybody who's been trying to get elected, I'm like, all right, you deserve to have people know that you're running and they should know what you're running on, and you deserve the opportunity to explain to people why you deserve to win this seat. So, of course, primarily my personal values align more with conservatism and like conservative policies, but living in a place like Atlanta, you'll have a lot of Republicans run as Democrats or as independents simply to win.
Mm,
Hmm.
that makes sense.
So, yeah, so when all of this happened, nobody was surprised. Like nobody was like, Kayla, what you doing out there with Trump? They was more like, oh dang, you really just met him? You been saying you was gonna do that. Like
Hmm.
I have called this into existence like since 2018. So it's the rest of the world is surprised, but like nobody around me was surprised. Now when it comes to this newfound popularity or fame or clout or whatever the hell you call this is that I got right now, um, I hate to say it, but like white people love me. And black people can't wait to tell me that I suck as a black person. And I'm like, well, good golly, god damn it. I'm up here for y'all. I'm giving y'all the facts. Like, and given in that speech, I made sure to address all of America because I didn't know if I would be doing too much and they might not ever let me speak again.
Yeah.
But like, the first half of the speech was directed towards Black America. Like, we got to stop falling into this narrative about racism or what did he mean by that? Because like, he is the common sense candidate. Like, you know good and well what he meant by that. You guys just want to stir up drama for the sake of engagement. So it's very like, it's saddening, because again, publicly black people will act like, oh, this is so awful. You see like Roland Martin and Plies and Joy Reid doing all of these specials and think pieces about me and sitting up in front of their phone camera talking about how misguided I am,
Yeah.
as if I haven't, like, in every interview you see, I support the Second Amendment because of this. I'm not necessarily a proponent of abortion because of this. I think that, the border crisis is a problem because of this. Like, how in the world are you gonna tell me I'm misguided, girl? I go outside and I see like life in real time. Like I was in Chicago during the DNC.
Yep.
So while y'all are over here talking about we're doing a great job, America, Americans 2 blocks down were like, we're suffering, everything is awful, and we're not a priority right now. Like, everybody is suffering from these America last agendas. And black people, and that's why I pointed out, like, publicly, folks act like they don't like me. And it's like really big voices acting like something's wrong with me, right? But when I go out to these communities, like I'm doing a barbershop talk tomorrow, I did one yesterday, and it's like, Trump is not hated in the black community. Trump is
Nope.
heavily supported in the black community. A lot of people are disappointed with the Biden Harris administration and therefore do not trust a Harris Walz administration. Like, the on ground experience is vastly different than what I've experienced on social media. So, in the midst of all this, it's above all else, it's given me a greater understanding of like, ooh, how nasty politics can
Yeah.
get. And how the media really can control a narrative. Like the media can really make you hate a person. The media can make you ugly. Like the fact that they always have Trump with this scrunched up face and the pouty lips. Like when me and my 15 students went and had dinner with that man, he did not look like that. And that was one of the most starking things that a student told me on the way out was, Kayla, like, he doesn't even look like how they make him look on TV. He doesn't act like that. Like, whoa. And they're like, I think if more people got to experience him in that way, then the making a decision in November would be that much easier. But unfortunately, he's battling the machine. And when you go against the machine, people look at you sideways.
Yep.
And it's really sad how, just as black people, like, we could talk, like, it's just really sad how, like, as black people, we are so defensive when it comes to doing better.
Hmm.
And it starts on a small scale. Like, you got moms not wanting you to tell their kids to stop cussing. Don't tell me what to do. You feel me? So
Hmm.
now, what does that translate to when you look at it on a larger scale, as a large group? What the hell you mean you voting for a Republican? Like, if there's a general consensus that you are right and like you do for you and like what it is that you know is all you're supposed to know, I can't get mad at people for being the way they are, but I am sad at the fact that even after all these years, folks haven't like looked up for a second to be like, oh dang, maybe I've been lied to. Like I specifically go to the hood and I'd be like, how long has this been the hood? You know? And folks will tell me like this neighborhood used to be thriving, da 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 da, and then
the drugs came and the guns came and the police left and now it's nothing. And yet, when you look at the history of these communities, these cities are run by Democrats,
Yep.
black ones at that.
Yep.
So how did you let your people, live in this neighborhood, thrive in this neighborhood, and then you watch the deterioration of said neighborhood and you did nothing about it? Yeah, all these politicians over these areas, their net worth goes up,
Yep.
which
Absolutely.
is interesting because the property values are going down. So it right there, that should let you know where the money is going. Yet
Mhm.
for whatever reason, that's not enough. It's not enough to convince some people that a Republican might do a better job.
Let me ask you a question with a couple different questions, but obviously I'm gonna break them up, and then I want to jump around with the Roland Martins and the Joy Reeds and the Plies, and we could just throw in Ricky Smiley, Steve Harvey, D.L. Hughley. You can throw in Charlemagne the God. You can throw in all of these pieces, right? All of these people. What do you think that their incentive is? Because for me
Money,
personally, I believe that it's financial, A, right? But then I
mhm,
also believe that some of these people are friends with this person, right? And that they have an incentive and they're biased, which is disingenuous to lead the people that are following them, which it seems like the majority of them have a women following, a woman only following, or majority women following. It seems disingenuous. But from your perspective, what do you think that the main incentives are for a Roland Martin, who seems like he would be open-minded or educated enough, but we know that he's 100% liberal. We know he's 100% a Democrat. I'm trying to understand what the incentive is from these people that have these large followings to continue to push people, even though we have the level of education that we have now to see that has been so destructive for our communities. What do you think the incentive is for them to continue to push this agenda?
well, first, I'd like to say that I don't even think they're friends with this person because the
Mm,
majority of the people speaking out against Trump were friends with Trump. So it wouldn't make sense if maybe they were supporting them because that's their friend. Because Trump was not just their friend, but a very generous sponsor to a lot of their causes. Trump wasn't
yep.
just a friend, but a very generous promoter for the things that they were doing. Trump wasn't just a friend. He was somebody who was damn near family to some of these folks at weddings, at baby showers, at all of these different things. So that's to start there. Is everybody disloyal? Clearly. Then next, it's definitely there's a financial aspect to it. And the finances, I think, come from, the same type of people who were paying folks to feed Huey P. Newton heroin, the same type of people who were paid to go into that ballroom and shoot up Malcolm X, the same type of people who were paid to go into the Black Panther Party once all the leaders were assassinated and start rumors and dramas to, cause distrust and all of these things. Like, those were all black people. And those were all very well paid black people
Mm,
who knew what they were doing was wrong, but looked out for themselves first. And I think, unfortunately, like those historical figures and like the ones we have now, nobody's paying attention to the fact that eternity is a long ass time. And
yep.
we're here for a very, very, very little amount of time compared to eternity. So,
Hmm.
with that being said, to think that you would allow yourself to go ahead and cause generations and generations of just pure, just suffering, pure chaos, pure anarchy, you would promote that so that your net worth stays above a certain amount. You would promote that so that only your family will be good because these folks will tell you that the Department of Education is working
Yep.
and public schools are great, but all their kids go to private school.
Yep.
The same private schools that Trump is encouraging that we start a voucher program so that every child would be allowed to go to those schools. Because when we talk about the illiteracy rate that exists in these, inner cities, you notice that every politician's kid can read because their kids aren't going to these public schools that are purposely underfunded. And then
Hmm.
it's like y'all act like y'all don't know that these appraisers, do what they do in black neighborhoods and therefore the taxes are down. So if we had a different system in which now you're not dependent on, property taxes so much
Hmm.
to pay for your child's education, if we really made it a thing where it was up to the states and the states had to be held accountable for where all the money was going, and then they also had to be accountable for the progress or lack of progress once these policies are instituted. Like, I don't get why people are acting like we don't need that.
Yeah.
People like Roland Martin and Joy Reid might have grew up poor, but I can guarantee you they don't go to nobody's poor ass neighborhood ever. not for a school drive, not for a resource fair, not for no reason. The only time they're in the inner city is when they're on somebody's TV in the intercity.
Mm-hmm.
So it's y'all aren't even there really seeing for yourselves the plight of black people or hearing on ground what black people are going through, but you're taking talking points from the people that are paying you and you're pushing it. And this is obvious with the new narrative of joy. Everything about the Biden Walz administration is just bringing joy. What did Michelle Obama say? Hope is making a comeback. And it's like,
Oh my God.
where the hell has hope been the last 3.5 years?
You speaking the
What would
sentiments of my heart, but that's the same thing that they use in order to get Obama in office, though, right? So it's the same thing. I mean, we seen it at the Democratic National Convention. That was what Michelle Obama led her speech with, was a whole joy thing. When I looked at the CNN interview, they keep talking about the sentiment and the division. I think that when people are broke, that kind of
they're
souls
not feeling joy. Nobody has felt joy since these folks took office. The
100%.
first of the month is tomorrow, ain't it? Or Sunday, or one of them. Either
Yep, it's,
way,
it's
folks is
Sunday.
not feeling joyous when they're paying their rent. Folks are not feeling joyous. Mommy's talking, baby. The folks do not feel joyous when folks are paying their utilities. Folks are not joyous at the gas pump. Folks are not joyous at the grocery store. Like, people are not feeling joy at all. Yet these folks are getting on TV and trying to convince you that your suffering is joyful.
Yep, I agree.
What you feel is not disdain, it is joy. What you feel is not stress, this is joy. And all that they're doing is preparing you to feel like this for another 4 years. And they're just going to keep telling you that, no, 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 it's joy. And it's crazy because if Trump had came out and tried to use a joyous quote or, get himself a little slogan for his campaign, the first thing they would have brought up was Nazis. One of the first pieces of Nazi propaganda said strength through joy.
Mm,
And that's how
mm.
everybody to come together and get ready for this new order that they were about to push in. Strength through joy. And now the Democrats are pushing that. Yet let Trump get up and say that. And watch how they expose that information. And
You,
stop using it.
you know what? I'm gonna play a clip really quickly from CNN from the interview, and I want to tackle this immigration policy really quickly. But before I do that, because I like to jump around and kind of, you know what I'm saying, mine out who you are. Do you think that you're intimidating? Like, I don't know what your status is as far as like, single, together, whatever. You don't have to disclose that here.
Oh no, I'm
But
single as a Pringle.
do you think that you're intimidating to men?
um, yes and no. Yes to insecure men, no to confident ones.
Because you're very like well spoken. You can put it out
Yeah,
there.
and I don't take no BS. I'm very big on holding people accountable because it's like the way my life turned out, I have nobody to blame really but myself. All
Oh,
of the major life
wait.
pivotal years that I've gone through, that was college, and I mean I'm only 28, so just through
You a
college and
baby. You a
becoming a mother,
baby.
I guess somebody come spoil me then. But anyway,
Oh,
just
you know you
all of
coming to
my
Detroit, right? We treat people different here in the city.
Oh, baby, I was there for the People's Convention. Okay, I love the Big Meats treatment. They said it come right back. Yep, let's go. Let's
Hmm.
go have some fun. But I I'm fun. So I think that's what really lessens the intimidation factor. Is like I'm really funny. I'm good for a joke. Always got like some kind of witty comeback, and like men usually like that. They be like, "Oh, you talk shit, huh?" And I'm like, "Yeah, all day," and they love it. So, but I am tall. I'm 5'9", and like a cool 180. So I'm a big girl. So like I walk into a room and I'm gonna make sure I'm in the room. But I think the fact that I'm not self conscious about like myself, I don't think I have reason to be. And then it's like I don't know, like I don't know. I just feel like I just walk into a room and automatically assume everybody loves me. So the confidence is also like a thing. So like I don't think I intimidate men. If I have, they haven't really let me know. Men don't really get intimidated until they're actually with me and they see how much of a go getter I am. If they're not on that same level, then it's like, oh snap. But meeting me, I'm very approachable. I would like to think.
Yeah, you dope. All right, so let me jump in. Let me switch gears a little bit. I'm gonna be switching gears the whole time. I want to get your thoughts on this clip. It's like 2 minutes long, so I'm gonna, preface you by saying that I want to get your thoughts on this clip on this Kamala Harris question about immigration in particular. And let me preface this by saying that I did see that Chicago is projected to have a $1 billion deficit next year, or $982 million deficit next year. We are familiar with the fact that New York is cutting funding over to police officers, teachers, trash, as a result of the migrant crisis that's happening over in New York. I am familiar with what's happening in Denver, and more importantly, Aurora, where Venezuelan migrants that are gangs that, as Trump predicted, and he said that they were letting out the jails, where crime is going down in these foreign countries and is continuing to spike in places where they're taking over these apartment buildings. I am familiar with the letters that Mike Johnston, which is the mayor of Denver, and Brandon Johnson, the mayor of Chicago, which I think that people deserve as a result of what it is that he's doing to your city, and the Eric Adams and the Karen Bass over in Los Angeles, and the Houston mayor, the former Houston mayor. I want to get some thoughts on immigration, because I think that that is the thing that is really the Achilles heel in Kamala Harris's campaign, where she can't just add joy into the equation. So I'm going to play this clip really quickly, and then I want to get your thoughts.
We need to vote based on facts and not feelings.
You call it the opportunity economy. You are well aware that right now many Americans are struggling. There's a crisis of affordability. One of your campaign themes is we're not going back. But I wonder what you say to voters who do want to go back when it comes to the economy specifically, because their groceries were less expensive, housing was more affordable when Donald Trump was president.
Well, let's start with the fact that when Joe Biden and I came in office, during the height of a pandemic, we saw over 10 million jobs were lost. People, literally, we were all tracking the numbers. Hundreds of people a day were dying because of COVID. The economy had crashed. In large part, all of that because of mismanagement by Donald Trump of that crisis. When we came in, our highest priority was to do what we could to rescue America. And today, we know that we have inflation at under 3%. A lot of our policies have led to the reality that America recovered faster than any wealthy nation around the world. But you are right. Prices, in particular for groceries, are still too high. The American people know it, I know it, which is why my agenda includes what we need to do to bring down the price of groceries. For example, dealing with an issue like price gouging, what we need to do to extend the child tax credit to help young families be able to take care of their children in their most formative years, what we need to do to bring down the cost of housing. My proposal includes what would be a tax credit of $25,000 for first-time home buyers, so they can just have enough to put a down payment on a home, which is part of the American dream and their aspiration, but do it in a way that allows them to actually get on the path to achieving that goal and that dream.
What are your thoughts first? Because I'm going to play that clip, and then after I get your thoughts on that, I'm going to play the clip where she talked about immigration. What are your thoughts on her perspective on the economy and her slogan and what they chant at all of her rallies is "we not going back"? Whereas a lot of people are saying that, they enjoyed what happened 2016 through 2020 in a general sense. What are your thoughts on her loose policy without any details that a lot of people are detailing? It's pretty disastrous. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, to start off, she, blamed COVID for the mess that she was in, but those 10 million jobs were lost because you guys forced people to either take a vaccine or lose their job. You guys forced people to shut down their mom and pop's businesses. You forced people to shut down their office spaces, all due to this virus that you swore was so deadly and was so awful, only to 3 years later have Dr. Fauci testify on C-SPAN that Republicans and quote-unquote conspiracy theorists were right the entire time. The vaccine did not work. The 6 feet did not work. The mask did not work. There was no real research behind any of these policies. So to start off to try and imply that Trump was the reason why she came into this large mess that needed to be cleaned up is really disheartening, because it was the Democrats who proposed that those 10 million jobs get lost. So then moving forward, how she's saying that, I'm going to institute this new home buying program. Number one, where is the money going to come from? Number two, when are you going to explain why that $25,000 is less than the $150,000 being given to migrants? And then number three is even if you and try to give these people these $25,000 so that they can buy a home, What's to say that your plan doesn't end up, exploding like Bill Clinton's plan, in which we gave everybody a house, and then 20 years later we were in a recession, and those same people who were first-time home buyers lost their long-time homes because the economy simply could not handle all of these tax breaks and credits and other things on top of the foreign policy and all the other stuff that we had our hands in. And this economic situation that we're in now is way worse than the one that Bill Clinton was dealing with. We're not even seeing a surplus, and she's offering these things.
Yeah, I
So
often
you have to think about, exactly, you just have to think about where the deficit is now, the fact that she's only planning to add to it. She has no realistic or logistical means of getting that money or being able to explain to you how it won't shake the economy or, worsen it. So she's literally selling dreams on the campaign trail, and she's selling the most vaguest of dreams at that. There's
you
no
know what?
details.
You know
There's
what?
nothing on the site so you can look it up.
You
Just,
are
hey,
you like my twin because I often dissect the Clinton administration and I lay a lot of the blame at his feet in hindsight, not only of what happened as far as being a manufacturer of the housing crisis, but also all of the jobs that left, North American Free Trade Agreement, allowing for our manufacturers to be able to do business over in China, where China stole our proprietary technology and they forced American companies to have to partner with them, which they then leveraged that technology to build their own companies. And then at the same time, it wasn't reciprocated over here in the United States of America. The fact that they still left the tariffs in place that Trump instituted as far as to try to even out the playing field, which also saved the steel industry. And then the same things that we praised Bill Clinton for back in the day, as far as what it is that he did in the White House and his indiscretions. We don't really hold them to the same standards that we hold politicians or we traded on Trump for today as a culture and as voters. I want to get your thoughts on this. I'm gonna play another clip really quickly, and then I want you to expound on what your thoughts are as far as what she's expressing to CNN and what. And let me add this also. They don't give the same energy to Kamala Harris as they gave to Trump and JD Vance when they pull up in our op territory. But let me play this clip really quickly, and then I want to get your thoughts on it. All right.
As vice president, you were tasked with addressing the root causes of migration in southern countries and
Northern part of Central America.
the northern part
Yeah.
of Central America that affects the southern border of the U.S. During the Biden-Harris administration, there were record numbers of illegal border crossings. Why did the Biden-Harris administration wait 3.5 years to implement sweeping asylum restrictions?
Well, first of all, the root causes work that I did as vice president, that I was asked to do by the president, has actually resulted in a number of benefits, including historic investments by American businesses in that region. The number of immigrants coming from that region has actually reduced since we began that work. But I will say this, that Joe Biden and I and our administration worked with members of the United States Congress on an immigration issue that is very significant to the American people and to our security, which is the border. And through bipartisan work, including some of the most conservative members of the United States Congress, a bill was crafted, which we supported, which I support. And Donald Trump got word of this bill that would have contributed to securing our border, and because he believes that it would not have helped him politically, he told his folks in Congress, don't put it forward. He killed the bill. A border security bill that would have put 1,500 more agents on the border. And let me tell you something, the Border Patrol endorsed the bill. And I'm sure in large part because they knew they were working around the clock, and 1,500 more agents would help them. That bill would have allowed us to increase seizures of fentanyl. Ask any community in America that has been devastated by fentanyl what passing that bill would have done to address their concern and a pain that they've experienced.
So you would push that legislation again. I just want to
Not
ask
only
about
push it, I will make sure that it comes to my desk and I would sign it.
What are your thoughts on her her response to being responsible, her and the Biden administration being responsible for what's happened at the border over the last 3.5 years?
This is where I think that they make it very clear and very obvious where they believe the intelligence level of their fans, their voters, lies. Because if you pay attention to the language the entire time she was answering the question, she didn't really answer the question, she dodged it. And I'm sure that there were a lot of important details that were left out, and it's surprising that, Miss Dana didn't point that out, because if it was Trump and JD, she definitely would have.
She would
So
have
let's start
pressed
with
him.
her talking about this region, right? She said that they've had historic investment in this region and that migration from said region has gone down. Where was this region? Canada, because they're the only ones looking at us like we some fools, wondering what in the world are we doing over here. So if y'all put some historic investment in Canada and maybe decrease the migration from Canada, it had nothing to do with y'all. It had everything to do with the fact that they don't want to come here anymore because migration has increased from literally everywhere else. Then let's go ahead and talk about how she talked about that there was a bill, right? And he killed the bill. Understand that this wasn't just a border protection bill. This was a completely different bill. Hold on, buddy. This was a completely different bill. Yes, you can go. This was a completely different bill that had different line items that Trump probably didn't agree with. So, but instead of saying, and then she also said that this bill would have added to the border security, not that this bill was strictly for border security. So border security was probably a line item in whatever this bill was. And I wish I could think of it off the top of my head before somebody talk about me losing credibility. But for a prime example, when it comes to these student loan bills that they were passing, right? They love to talk about how Republicans vote them down. Yet what they don't publicize is the fact that all of these student loan bills have had multi-$100 million aid packages to Ukraine. So one of the last ones that they passed, in which they celebrated that this new round of forgiveness was going out, they did not mention CNN and The Hill quietly put out there that also in that bill, $900 million were
Yep.
going to Ukraine. So while we're talking about how Trump got word of this bill and he read it and he didn't like it, don't act like he did it for political purposes or that he did it to stop his reelection, because passing said bill would have only helped his reelection. Regardless of who passed it, at the end of the day, that's something he ran on. So the general consensus in America would have still been that he did it. So acting like he didn't pass it because he was concerned about the Democrats getting credit for it is a blunt faced lie.
Mm-hmm.
Then again, to act like, just the language itself isn't the reasoning for it not being passed is yet another lie. And then to not mention the fact that in the last 3.5 years, you were the border czar. So
Yep.
you had the ability to bring these border issues to the forefront of this administration, and you chose not to. You were the border czar. So you had every power to get up and call a press conference whenever you wanted to, and could have talked about how the migrant issue has gotten out of control and you guys needed to pass a bill immediately. And right now, since the Dems are basically in control of everything, there should have been no reason why you couldn't have gotten a bill passed in your 3.5 years. And
Yep.
as you be, the tiebreaker whenever there's a problem, sweetheart, if you really put your all into this bill and you really did your job as borders are, then we would see a better handling of our border. But we don't. And so it's sad that, again, they know people aren't paying attention to the language. She was
Yeah.
very selective of the language. The prosecutor in her really came out. And for people who are not, the more analysis type, for the people who take things for face value, they would feel like she did a good job. But for those of us that are critical thinkers, the majority of the people you find in the Republican Party, we all know that that interview was complete BS. And
Yep.
she didn't answer any questions. She didn't do anything to deliver to anybody who was watching that interview, hoping that they were going to get some answers. Nothing was answered.
You know what's so interesting? I tell people all the time because I am familiar with the CHIPS Act and I read it, and then I am familiar with the infrastructure deal, like you saying all of these little extras, and I read it, and also this whole bill, which they basically tried to label it as a national security bill, which at the time was also they were trying to debate funding over to Ukraine and Israel and Taiwan because we all know that it's really a chips war and it's a proxy war in all of those places, and you 100% correct and that there's so much language in this, and when they just use this as a talking point and actually not being able to substantiate their argument because we're not as informed, we're not as educated as we should be about what's happening, it's easy for them to just try to pass this off and say, well, he didn't sign the bill. No, it's a lot of language in there that they don't agree with that was supposed to be separated from a Republican side as far as how it is that they tackled the different issues, especially when it comes to national security and the border. And it's funny because the entire time they were suing Texas, trying to prevent them from using the National Guard to continue to highlight that the people needed to come in here and be vetted accordingly if you were going to immigrate into this country instead of just walking straight over into the border, which we now see all of our cities being overran. And then, you see people complaining about all of the monies that New York is giving on the debit card and the cash and the food stamps and all of this stuff. So it's very interesting. And I'm so thankful that we have somebody else that can articulate their points as well as you over to the people. But then again, I got to ask you another question though. Do people dislike when you disprove, the fact that this woman, in my personal opinion, is a liar? She's a fraud. We never seen her actually go through a primary, and she was given to us. I want to play another clip for you really quickly that they added. And this one is really short, but I want to play this clip for you, and then I want to get your thoughts on this, all right?
I want to ask you about your opponent, Donald Trump.
Okay.
I was a little bit surprised. People might be surprised to hear that you have never interacted with him, met him face to face. That's going to change soon. But what I want to ask you about is what he said last month. He suggested that you happened to turn black recently for political purposes, questioning a core part of your identity.
Yeah.
Any?
Same old tired playbook. Next question, please.
That's it?
That's it.
Okay.
Why won't she ever answer the question about whether or not, straight up for the American people, in an interview as a presidential candidate on the Democratic side, why won't she ever answer the question of whether or not she's black? Why don't you think she'll ever answer that?
Because then she would have to answer to the why she hasn't shown up in the black community, and it's like, you could go ahead and ride on this my father's Jamaican wave. Like, I haven't met a Jamaican that wasn't proud as can be to be Jamaican, and that wasn't one of the first things they let you know is that they were Jamaican. Maybe had never even been to Jamaica. Their grandma speak patois. You feel me?
Yeah.
But they are Jamaican, and you need to know. So it's just like the fact that only show that level of pride and the heritage that you inherited from your mother speaks for itself. Like, you identify as Asian. Every major milestone in your career, you went down as the first South Asian, or you went down as a South Asian, in the office, just a minority. It was never, I'm doing this for black people. Anytime she passed any laws or did anything, it was never with black people in mind. So she won't answer a question directly and talk about how black she is because she's scared of a follow-up that would say, well, what have you done for the black community? She cannot answer that. And
Yeah.
there's no black person that isn't voting for her because they believe that she could save the black community. Any black person voting for her, one of their reasoning is because she's black.
Yep.
And like, what other reason would we have to vote for her because she's black? Because right now, with how politically charged everybody is, if I ran against her, they wouldn't vote for me just because I'm black.
Facts.
They'd find every reason to go against me. You feel me? So it's like, why are y'all so opposed to holding this woman accountable for her lack of action and her years in office? Years. Why are you guys not holding this woman accountable for the reports that have come out of California where people said she was horrible? Why are you guys not holding her accountable for the polls that were taken where people voted at she was the worst vice president?
Yes.
Why are you not holding her accountable for the fact that, again, she already told you guys on video that she's not planning on doing anything specifically for black people?
Yeah.
You guys refuse to hold this woman accountable because she's quote unquote black. And that's something that resonates in the black community and reasons why we have issues now. The lack of accountability. Deadbeat dads are still deadbeat dads because of lack of accountability. Women are out here getting 8 abortions because of lack of accountability. People are out here illiterate as hell because of lack of accountability. People are out here struggling like shit and have no idea what to do next. Lack of accountability.
Agreed.
And in the black community, we are the only ones who are like, oh no, keep that accountability away. Yet everybody else, they don't mind having uncomfortable conversations with their family members, with community leaders, with anything like that. Because if something's wrong, if things are still going in the wrong direction, if things aren't getting better, folks are going to say something about it. We don't see issues lasting this long in the Hispanic community. You don't see issues lasting this long in the Asian community. You don't see this many businesses getting shut down. You don't see this many Asian on Asian shootings or white on white gang violence. Like, you don't see this much of what we do anywhere else. And yet when we say somebody needs to stop this, oh, here go this nigga thinking he better than everybody else. What do you mean?
No, you
Did I
100%
tell
right.
one lie though?
Yeah, no, you're not. You 100% right. Okay, so let me pivot. Before I pivot, let me say this. There's over 4,000 of y'all in here watching this. And you know that I always appreciate every time that y'all jump on here and y'all rocking out with the live streams, whether it's the Monday night debates or anything that we do. If y'all want me to bring Michaela over to Detroit so we can have an in-person conversation, I'm gonna bring her anyway. But if that's what y'all want me to do, and y'all want me to expedite the process, y'all got to hit a like for the algorithm. Y'all got to show love, and y'all got to make sure that y'all go and search her out and follow her on her Instagram and all of her platforms and show her some love, because a friend of mine is a friend of yours, and we all family over here because we all think alike, not just based off of our identities, but also based off of our mindset, and that we always trying to make sure that we going in a direction as forward and up. All right, let me ask you a couple more questions before we wrap this up. Number one, the conspiracy theory in me, the conspiracy theorist in me says, based off of everything that we've seen up to this point, that Biden was pushed, that it was in the cards for Biden to get pushed out from the very beginning. That's what I believe in my heart. Obviously, I'll never be able to prove it, but that's just my opinion. Do you think that he was always going to be pushed out and that he ever really had a chance of becoming president of the United States of America, even if he believed it? Do you think that that was the agenda from the beginning?
I think that the agenda was they were going to try to keep him as long as possible. I do
Mm,
think that they probably wanted him for a second term, and then he probably would have kicked the bucket then, and Kamala would have became president. I think
yeah.
that's more so what they were hoping for. But unfortunately, the debate exposed their hand, and they had to make a move really fast. I
Mm.
do believe that there has been an agenda at work. So come on, conspiracy theorists to conspiracy theorists, let's really talk about it. There's
Mm.
been an agenda at work continuously, and they brought Obama in to lead us to it. Because all this gay stuff came with Obama.
It did. That now
And they had
that's
a
his
black man
landmark thing that he's standing
lead
on
the
today.
charge. They had a black man lead the charge to all things LGBTQIA, and now you see the black community being played the worst by, certain the extremists that are on that side.
Yep.
It's our inner city schools that are getting the pornographic books first. It's our children that are being told now that, oh, asexual, pansexual, bisexual, whatever, existential sexual. Like, I don't be knowing all the sexuals they got now, but the fact that elementary schoolers can tell me a sexual identity, period, is insanity to me.
It's
But
100% insane.
agenda to emasculate the black man. So they needed a black man to ring it in so nobody would ask any questions.
Yep.
Next, you're going to need to make women hate black men. You're going to need women to be fiercely independent, to no longer want children. And Kamala Harris has been on a tirade going to all these HBCUs telling black women to abort their babies. And she, as a black woman, has never given birth to a black baby, right? So
Isn't
now
that ironic?
you're gonna have this image being portrayed to little black girls. Before, all of our role models were married women with children. This is
Yep.
gonna be the first time in which our role model will be married to a white man and will have no black children.
What do
And
you
so she's basically like the perfect advocate to say abort your babies because you can be successful like me if you don't have children.
Yeah, she's been
The
running
white
around
baby
the
being
country.
born is just fine, but you as a black woman, don't you dare have a baby.
She's been running around the country since before she actually was the presidential nominee, when Biden was at the top of the ticket, and she was just, obviously his vice presidential running mate for a second term. And the entire platform, it seems like that they spent the majority of their time championing at all of these rallies was they want to say women's rights or the right to be able to do what you want to do with your body. But basically, it was abortion. I mean, that's what they've been championing the entire time around the country. I don't understand it. I don't understand personally why liberals in particular are so gung ho about this issue and why this is something that shouldn't. Because to be honest, what Trump said, and he said it during the debate, and he continues to say it on all of these interviews, he says that it shouldn't be a federal issue. We want smaller government. This should go back into the hands of the states. And if the states determine that this is what they want based off of what the voters want, then this is what it's going to be instituted. This is not a federal ban. But why are liberals so gung ho about advocating for abortion? I don't understand it.
Because in today's day and age, if they brought the KKK back, they would have to explain that. So they're leaving us to kill ourselves, and we're doing it happily.
Mm.
Just imagine
Mm.
how happy the elites are knowing they can just throw a Planned Parenthood in there, and women will line up with no promotion. Just
That's
imagine how happy they are knowing they can put 3 new rap artists on the radio and little boys are going to pick up guns and shoot each other based off some songs that they've been listening to. Just imagine how happy they are knowing that white people no longer have to be the villains because black people are doing it for them. Just
yeah.
imagine. And if you went around and told every black person that, they'd be like, dang, you know what? You're right. Because think about it. BET used to run commercials about abortion.
Mm-hmm.
BET is one of the reasons why I'm not a supporter of abortion. I was seeing those commercials at 7. They was coming on during 106 in Park.
It
And which I
was.
don't know, but it was a guy. He walked around the street and he asked, "What's the number one killer of black people?" And black people were saying things like stroke, heart attack, diabetes, gun violence, HIV, AIDS, car accidents, all the cancer, all of these different things. And then their faces all dropped when he said, "Actually, it's abortion." And then they showed you the numbers. They're like, with this and everything else, all the other common answers that we got, he had a chart with him. He's like, this
Yeah.
is how much it kills all of us per year, and abortion is triple that amount.
That might have been hits from the streets.
Maybe, but I remember it was a commercial on BET. I was a little
Mm-hmm.
girl,
Mm-hmm.
but it was a commercial on BET. Because abortion is literally, we are the only population that isn't growing. We've been at 14% of the American population since abortion came around.
And you got to round up to get that.
And so now let's think about it. Let's really talk about it. Conspiracy theorists to conspiracy theories. Now all the black women getting abortions and all the black men are gay. How are we gonna have any new black people?
Oh, you ain't got to worry about that.
And then the rich ones who make it out, we're gonna marry them off to white, Latina, da, da, da. We're gonna make it clear that the most beautiful thing or a trophy to you will be a woman that's not black. And you're gonna fall for
Throw in. We make up the majority of the prison population. Throw
and
that on there as a
a
caveat.
third of our men are in jail. A third are gay, and the other ones are successfully married to somebody else.
You are
And
you
half
100%
of it,
right.
we can't even blame the system because as black women, the fact that we act like we don't naturally want to cater to our men is nuts to me. They had to go overboard with driving this city girl music into the community. Because
Mm-hmm.
when black women, we used to love being homemakers. There was pride in that. How nice you kept your house. Who cooked the best. All the moms used to, do potlucks and stuff. Grandmas used to feed the children and stuff on the weekends. Like, we don't have that anymore.
I
And
agree.
there's a reason for it. Like, there is so much destruction on our side, and they keep using black people to usher it on in. Same way they did when I mentioned earlier. Who killed Malcolm X? Who sold Huey P. Newton to heroin? Who went in and shot Fred Hampton in his sleep? Those were all black people. They use black people to usher in our destruction so we won't ask any questions and we will look at, since historically white people have been the enemy. If a white person is telling us not to trust a black person, we automatically are just against that,
Mm-hmm.
And it's about time we got to realize, like, y'all hate it when people bring up Jim Crow. Well, stop acting like we living in Jim Crow.
Mm-hmm.
Befriend a white person. See where it might go. Vote for the white guy. See what happened. Like, it's okay if you can admit now that not every black person is good for the black cause. And black people, unfortunately, like, I can't speak on why white people are voting for outside of abortion because all the interviews that I've seen, when Trump said that people don't know who Kamala Harris is, it's true. You go on college campuses, a lot of people don't know who she is for real. If you say, what's the name of the vice president? They say, but if you say, are you voting for Kamala Harris? They'll say yes.
Mm.
Disillusioned we are as a people. Like, folks are not critical thinkers anymore. People are not researchers anymore. People are not citing their sources and making sure the information that they're receiving is credible. People are literally just riding the wave. Social media, like, everything was done by design. Like, social media came on in and we wanted to see just how much we could get people to believe things and how quick. And social media proved to the higher ups that if you get enough people to post the same thing, the entire world will believe it to be true.
Yep.
Case in point, here in Atlanta, when we had our last election, you had Felicia Moore versus Andre Dickens. And somehow, some way, T.I., Lil Duval, Mr. Magic, who owns Magic City, and then I think it was Spiritual Word, one of the big media outlets out here,
Mm-hmm.
posted that if you voted for Felicia Moore, she was going to close down all the strip clubs. And as sad as it is to admit this, We had people who had never voted in their entire life turn out to the polls for the sake of saving the strip clubs. Now, if you go and you Google this article, I wish I was lying to you. If you
Oh,
go and you Google this article, it is so obvious that it is fake. It is so obvious that somebody just put this together. It looked like they just edited a PowerPoint slide type stuff.
yeah,
The type of low level mess you use when you need an excuse for school. Like, it looked so bad. And yet nobody questioned it because
yeah,
all of these popular voices posted it.
yep.
Not that the news talked about it, not because there was something in the paper about it, but because five major urban celebrities posted a fake article. And you had, I mean, men who never voted, men who said voting ain't got nothing to do with them, made sure they voted that day so that they could see the
Mm.
cheeks clap the following Wednesday. Yes, sir.
Let me ask you one more question. I want to get your thoughts on what do you think about Tim Walz?
So when it comes to Tim Walz, I think, and this is another thing, speaking to the black community, there's no black person on this planet that is, I guess, excited or happy at the thought of the state taking their child,
Mm.
let alone another state taking their child. If I go outside right now and I don't see my baby, within 5 minutes, I am freaking out. So
Yeah,
imagine if your baby made it to another state, right? And then that state refused to work with local authorities to bring your kid back. I don't know any black person that would tell me that is a dream of theirs. But because of Tim Walz, if your kid wants to transition as young as age 6 and you do not agree with it, that kid can find a way. And with social media now, how easy is it for these kids to find predators?
yeah.
That kid can find a way to get to Minnesota. They can get their transition, and Minnesota will keep your child. Minnesota will not work with the local authorities, I guess, here in Georgia to bring my kid back.
That's insane. That
That's
is
what people
literally insane.
say. And they do that in the name of tolerance. Like, one of the things Kamala Harris, said in her DNC speech is that you should be free to express who you are. Put an age on it. I should be free to drink too. Put an age on it though.
Yeah, yeah.
I should be free to join the military and fight for my country, but you gonna put an age on it though. So to act like children are mature enough to make life altering decisions is disgusting. And then let's talk about it for real in layman's terms, Antoine.
Okay.
What black person let their kid tell them what to do?
None, zero. I don't know.
Oh, okay.
They got a lot of gentle parenting now, so it might be a little different.
I don't know. Cause ain't nothing gentle about this household.
Ain't nothing
Baby,
gentle about mine either.
ain't nothing gentle about it. Man, my grandmama did a great job. My mama did a good job. I'ma do a good job. Like, there are a few things about my upbringing and that I noticed about my mother's upbringing that I will change.
Yeah.
But for the most part, that no discipline, don't raise your voice, spare the rod.
Spoil a child.
Baby, not I, not I. So the fact that Tim Walz has championed himself as being somebody who has successfully given children more rights than their parents.
Yeah.
I don't know any, and this is even just outside of black people. I can't speak for other cultures because we've seen examples in which other children tell their parents what to do.
Mm,
But I don't think anybody would vote for that to be law.
correct.
I think a lot of parents who've made the decision to be a parent do so because they feel like they can successfully raise a child. They
Mm-hmm.
don't do so because they wish to produce a child that will successfully raise themselves.
Mm.
Hmm.
Why do you think that she picked him? Aside from the fact that they feel like they need to win the Midwest and Pennsylvania and Minnesota, like Shapiro, they could have picked Shapiro, but why did they pick Tim Walz over Shapiro, for example? If you had
Because
to
Tim
guess.
Walz gets out and he looks like the daddy from Soul Plane. Like, Tim Walz gets out and he's, jumping around and having a great time, like, being America's dad. Like, she needed somebody like that. She couldn't have somebody that's serious on policy because that
Yeah.
person would speak on policy and she wouldn't be able to keep up on her own. She couldn't have anybody, smarter than her. She couldn't pick anybody with a better track record than hers. You know, because then she couldn't pick anybody that would make somebody question why not them instead of her.
Mm.
Tim Walz was just safe enough. Mark Kelly, Ben Shapiro, those type of people, if they had been on the ticket, they wouldn't mind going out and doing interviews.
Mm.
And so people would wonder, well, dang, why is she running? Why not you? And then that would then open the gate to people being like, wait a minute, we sure didn't have a primary. Why isn't it you?
Yeah. But
And
it
then the
seems like a
Democratic
lot of
Party.
times though, it seems like a lot of times when somebody picks a representative, right, or somebody that is basically their VP, because traditionally a VP doesn't move the needle as far as determining whether or not somebody's going to vote for you for president of the United States of America, right? The vice presidential candidate is not really the determining factor, although it can play a huge role, especially when you got these battleground states over in the Midwest and over in Arizona and stuff like that, though, right? But usually they pick somebody that still kind of looks presidential, if that makes any sense, right? Like you could imagine, for example, when Obama, let's just stay on the Democratic side, right? You could imagine at the time when Obama ran for president of the United States of America, different factors, different time, that he picked Joe Biden, and a lot of people even said that it was kind of sort of because he was so young that it also gave him credibility within the White House, especially because they considered him so inexperienced and a lot of the things that he was going to face as president of the United States of America. When I see Tim Walz, I don't see anything. Like, I don't see anything. I see a dude that largely is probably more or less a feminist. Um, they questioning his stolen valor. You know what I'm saying? I don't see anything great about Tim Walz that would just cause me to say, oh man, I really like that guy. Like he doesn't do anything for me whatsoever.
No, I think that she picked Tim Walz to secure the LGBTQIA support. I think she picked Tim Walz to secure the pedo support because unfortunately those guys tend to have a lot of money.
Yep.
I think she picked Tim Walz to make, white people feel better because if she picked a black man, she knew she would have lost. I feel like she picked him also because I think she knew this black stuff was going to come up, and he also champions himself on allowing Minnesota to burn
Yep.
and um
During the riots.
right, exactly.
Yep. Yep.
And so it's like, even though she loves bringing up January 6th, like, oh, January 6th, January 6th, January 6th, this man's city burned for days.
Yes, it did. 100.
Days.
Yep.
Days. Not, and it's like nobody at the Capitol lost their job, but all those businesses that got burned out,
Yep.
yeah, all those people are now unemployed.
But you know what's
All those
so
mom
you
and
know what's
pop
so
shops
funny?
that got destroyed, like now somebody just lost their life savings. Like, what?
They wasn't
She
forcing
needed
people to do
somebody to
6 feet.
help her.
They wasn't forcing people to do 6 feet during those protests, but they was making sure that we couldn't open up our businesses, we couldn't travel to New York, we couldn't get in an elevator together. We had to wear masks
Mhm.
everywhere that we went, and we had to we had to
Because
make sure that we was fighting over toilet paper.
it was all by design.
Of course it
Her and
was.
him probably were already in talks about letting this thing happen because don't forget, when he was letting the city burn, Kamala Harris was on stage talking about how good of a job he was doing
Mm,
and how people deserve the right to express themselves.
yeah.
Yet those people can express their frustrations with the justice system, yet Trump supporters could not. And at least Trump supporters went to the source. What did y'all do by destroying some shit that was outside?
Hmm. Let me just say this. I love you coming on this platform. I appreciate you. I celebrate you. I champion you every opportunity that I can get. I big you up because I think that you are brilliant. You are 100% brilliant. I have no problem whatsoever always making sure that I elevate and champion the people that I believe have a better future and a bright future ahead of them, and you are one of the ones. And so I always want to give people their flowers while I'm in front of them. I thank you. I appreciate you. I cannot wait to get you here in person in Detroit and treat you like the queen that you are because you are absolutely awesome. Do you have any final thoughts that you just want to randomly share with the people? And then also, before you go, I want you to also tell the people where they can find you and where they can reach you.
I am on TikTok, Twitter, or X now, right? Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
on TikTok, X, and Instagram. Instagram is where I do most of my thug thizzle. So please follow me on Instagram. Um, and that is Miss Kayla Baby. So
I'm gonna put all of the
MISSKAYLAA.
links in the description anyway. So
Yeah, because folks been spelling it wrong.
yeah, I'm gonna
For
put all of her links to all of her social media in the description as soon as the show ends.
I think
Any final thoughts?
the final thoughts I would have to say is for those of you who are really passionate about this election and who really, really want to make sure that we see the right things happen in November, I really encourage you guys to, like, be loud about it. Like, I went to Chicago and I actually went to the streets and I actually saw the lines of migrants. I saw the apartment buildings that they have taken over. Like, go record, go be loud about it. Like, they can't shut everybody up. I've had people tell me that they can't find my page, or I've had people tell me that they can't find certain links, or sometimes things are down. And it's like, they're going to start censoring people the bigger we get. So the smaller voices, don't ever think that your work isn't just as important.
Yeah.
It's so important. Even if only 10 people see the truth, those 10 people are going to go tell 10 other people. The domino effect is real. So I really just encourage everybody to, like, just it's nothing to go every day. If you ordered groceries via an app during COVID, take a picture of an order, press reorder all items, and look at the price difference, like, and post it. Like, really make it obvious and evident to people that we have not felt joy in the last 3.5 years, and we do not look forward to seeing any joy all of a sudden magically being instituted or appearing in our lives if we vote this woman in another 4 years. Please make sure people understand that we are voting for the sanctity of our children, and we are voting to save their and protect their innocence. Understand that voting rights, not voting rights, but gun rights are on the table this time. Like, nobody wants a buyback or mandatory surrender program. Make sure people understand that we are not voting for a person. We are voting on policies. We are not voting for a candidate. We are voting to support certain causes. And if you don't support late term abortion, babies having, mothers having the opportunity to say, I don't want to be a mom actually, and the baby actually be killed immediately after birth. If you don't support, teaching kids that men can give birth and there's 53 genders, these are the things that you guys need to consider when you're going to the polls. We're not voting about who tweets the meanest. We're not voting about who has the best comebacks. We're not voting on who's the most politically correct. We're not voting on who looks the best, who dresses better. We're not voting. None of that shit matters. If World War III was to break out today, who giggles the best is not going to matter. Please understand, you guys, we are not voting for a friend. We are not voting for a new mother-in-law. We are voting for a commander-in-chief. We need somebody who can be the commander if a war was to break out. We need somebody who will hold his nuts if the economy is going downwards, who will say, stop this, cut ties with that, and we're going to start doing this. Like, we need somebody who isn't controlled by anyone, who doesn't owe anyone, somebody who isn't afraid to say what's on their mind. That's what we need, guys. At the end of the day, America is a business, and we need the businessman back, because bringing in these personality hires is the reason why our business is currently failing.
I agree 100%. If I was in charge of the White House, you would be the press secretary. That's number one. Number two, for all 5,000 of y'all plus that is watching this live on YouTube alone, make sure that y'all show her some love. I see the moderators are putting her links to her Instagram and stuff inside of the chat. So it's much easier for y'all to be able to find it and check it out. So y'all just go ahead and click the links. Of course, I'm going to put it inside of the description of the video also. Michaela, I really do appreciate you for taking the time out to come and kick it with your boy, and I cannot wait to have you down here in Detroit. It is going to be an awesome time.
I cannot wait to come down to Detroit. I'm going to have so much fun.
All right, baby. I love you. I appreciate you.
I love you too. I'll talk to you later.
All right, bye-bye. Ladies and gentlemen, that is my little sis. Been kicking it with her on the phone for a little bit of time, and so that's my sister. You'll see her much more often. You will, I guarantee you, her with her excellent self, you will see her much more often. And I think that we need to champion the people that are awesome. We need to champion the people that can communicate effectively. We don't need to be following these entertainers and these rappers and all of these different people that cannot give you insight and information on how you need to be leading your household and becoming more informed about the decisions that you're making on a daily basis. We need people that are more informed, that can speak to the issues that's happening inside of the community, and she is one of those ones. Clearly, she's one of those ones. Let me read a lot of these super chats. Again, Michaela, make sure y'all go and follow her on all of her social media platforms. Thank you to the moderators that's continuing to rock out. And thank you to everybody that took a moment out on a Friday afternoon to come and kick it with your boy. We do have after hours tonight. We're going to recap this conversation. I got my girl, Miss Carrie. Y'all love Miss Carrie, baby, coming on the platform along with Quentin. So we're going to be on after hours tonight. Moderators put a link to after hours in the description so we can tap in. And then we're going to go from there. Let me read some of these super chats. And then I want to make sure that you guys, I want to get you guys out of here. So we did a packed hour of some of the most phenomenal insight that y'all can got. That y'all can have. Make sure that you share this with your family and friends. Philip Sadiq says, got my sleep in. I've been waiting for this. Shout out to Philip Sadiq. I appreciate you. Hank Woodmore says, salute. Michaela is extremely articulate and not compromised. Thank you for this, Anton. Y'all doing God's work. We working. Annie Marie in the building says, my poster board in the live chat. Love you, Michaela. Thank you, AD, for this. She see it. Mike Lewis in the building says, some black people don't understand that it's okay to have your own mind and free thoughts. That's what you do not have to like a candidate to vote for them. Thank you, Mike Lewis. I appreciate you. King Manasseh says, do you think any chance of a platinum plan have been used up towards illegal migrants? Faith Factor says, what are your thoughts on Kamala refusing to answer the question about what race she identifies with last night? Michaela answered that. She did talk about that. Chad from Moore says, I love your energy, Michaela. How are you going to continue to capitalize the attention and take it to the next step on your path? We talked about that privately. I don't think she want to expose that to the general public. Sarone says, Anton, I remember last week you were saying that you will bring Michaela on the show and you actually went through on your word, big dog. Yeah, that's my little sister. DJ Gary goes on to say, I'm struggling paying rent right now. I'll go even further. I'm paying last month's rent today and September rent next week. Get that haircut, big dog. Faith Factor says, do you think they had to wait for Kamala to finish drug rehab before allowing her to do an interview? You know, some people that smoke get the giggles. I'm just saying. Terry Scott goes on to say, please ask her about Fannie. How is it? Says, Michaela is what a strong feminine black woman looks like. Michaela is 100% right. The economy is worse than 2008, and people have no idea what is coming. Be Easy 333 in the building says Kamala and her family is Hindu, yet she's cooking bacon for her family. No big deal. But according to my Hindu and Muslim friends, that is fraudulent. Faith Factor goes on to say, also, they voted down a student loan bill because they said that there is already a loan forgiveness program in effect signed by George W. Bush in 2007. They want Biden to use or make updates to the current loan forgiveness programs. R. Maurice is in the building. Shout out to R. Maurice. Let me show you some love and give you that round of applause. Thank you to R. Maurice. R. Maurice says, Anton, thank you for intelligently and unapologetically letting logic outshine emotions when breaking down topics such as these. Next panel, can you ask black women how they feel about Harris's record of locking us up while marrying who she did? Shout out to R. Maurice. Thank you, my rich friends. Dick Perry is in the building, says, only thing black in her is Montel, Jesus, Woolley, and countless other Howard alums from 80 to 84. Jay Ben says, if she says yes, she loses white voters. If she says no, she loses black ones. It's a tactical play, but I ain't going. Is you or is you ain't? Geo Black says Michaela is cooking with hot grease. She did cook, didn't she? Shout out to Frederico says, take note, Shamisha and Trigger. B13 in the building says, put her info in the description, please. We will. Turk Fergberg says, real talk, if a white guy is pro-choice for minorities, are they a white supremacist or progressive? JG says, I want to take Michaela on a date. She fine. She fine. Lord Tark says, didn't Kamala low-key just renounce being assistant in her first interview? If you're really what you're claimed to be, you should take pride in it. Faith Factor says, fun fact, abortion is illegal in only 3 states. Dick Perry says, Negro Project Planned Parenthood. R. Maurice came through with another big dog, says, Anton, can you review the recent Candace Owens versus Mark Lamont Hill live stream? Sure. Send it to me in my email. We'll give you plenty of content to contrast logic versus emotions and how liberal mindsets are so devastatingly detrimental to our culture that hypocrisy is abundant. Is Mark Lamont Hill even built to have a debate or jump on a live stream with somebody that can think logically from the right? Feet Funkerson says, I'm so glad that she's speaking on the genocide. Raimi says, Kamala for president. DoorDash driver mama, shout out to the DoorDash driver mama, says, Michaela is spitting fire, get those likes up. Truth be told, like you will not find anywhere else. Moji says, love the insight that you're bringing. Causell says, I love her, kick ass and take names. Patrick Major says, if you allow everything, you allow nothing. Correction, abortion and ban is banned in 11 states. Kamala has no respect for our military, so rude, says FF. Shout out to FF. Our Maurice come through again, says, your guest just made a fantastic point about the VP pick. Who they pick can't outshine her, but on the real, at least it wasn't Gavin Newsom. Worst governor in the United States of America, if you ask me. Turtle Island says, Tim Walz is a DEI pick for Kamala. Derek Perry says, Walz reminds me of Coach Sandusky. Turtle says, imagine Michaela and the Candace Owens podcast. That would be dope, wouldn't it? FF says, the left says there's no gender, but yet they want a female president. Make that make sense for me. RCP says, dope dialogue, offer her a job. Y'all think Michaela need to get the bag? Oh, I gotta make sure that this is Michaela's time slot. We're gonna work it out. Israel Indok says, I got this super sticker for you. Thank you, Israel. I appreciate you. High Tolerance says, shout out to the executive chef, Michaela. Well, she was cooking, wasn't she? As a girl dad, I hope and pray people take their blinders off to what's unfolding in real time. Do your due diligence and think about those that are coming behind us. Now, you know that's too much like, right? Sonia Aldrich says, amazing and thanks with the super chat. Thank you, Sonia. P. Shank in the building says, Michaela, thanks for bringing her on your show. Shastakler Woods gave me the super sticker. Thank you for the super sticker. Sundeer says, y'all are building a dream team now. The two of you like PB&J. Shout out to Sundeer in the building. I appreciate you. My dog, let me give a round of applause to my dog and my rich friend. Shout out to Spencer Campbell. Spencer Campbell says, bless you, Anton. We love you. I love you guys also. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you to everybody that continues to hold me down. I love you guys. I appreciate you. You guys are the most awesome in the world. I am going to holler at y'all later. Thank y'all, thank y'all, thank y'all. I appreciate you. I'm going to holler at y'all. Peace. Have a good Friday. I'm going to see y'all on After Hours tonight.